Hello world. So here it is, my very first video in the kitchen. I have been thinking about doing this now for years, decades probably. And I don't know, today felt like it was the day to start. So my name is Dagmar Stansova, and I do a lot of creative things in the kitchen. I've tried every diet there is. I've been a raw foodist, I've been a paleo person, I've been a raw meat eater, I've been a raw vegan, vegetarian, I've done it all. So I've had to get really creative in the kitchen, like to create things that are nourishing and easy to make. And you know, this actually is not my kitchen. For the last 5 years, I've been traveling around the country from home to home, which is a nice way of saying that I've been couch surfing. You know how people say, oh, I can't eat healthy when I'm on the road. Well, I have proven to myself that that is not true. I've eaten really healthy for the last 5 years. And had fun creating. Basically every time I get in the kitchen, I create something that I've never created before. So today you will be joining me in me creating a chocolate that has no caffeine in it. So it's going to be chocolate, but I will only be using cacao butter, not cacao paste or cacao beans. It's for those of us who still love our chocolate, but we know that the caffeine is, it's just a lot of hype saying that chocolate is good for you, please. But, we still want to have some and enjoy it. So here we have, you probably won't see the rest of me. Oh, I do want to show you my cute little dress. Okay, so first things I have here are chocolate, silicone chocolate forms. I like them more than any other shape, because when you make chocolate that's shaped like real chocolate, it feels like you're having, like you're actually having chocolate, like it's not some homemade little thing. It looks official. And then you don't eat as much of it because, you can break it off into little pieces. So what I have here is simply very hot water that I put into. You can create, I just make makeshift ways of doing things whoever's kitchen I'm in. This kitchen happens to be pretty well equipped. But so I just took like a bowl, and I filled it up with water so that it touches the bowl. And I know it's like a homemade double boiler, I think they call it. Okay, so we have that ready. Now, I guess if I was a really professional chef, I would have had this already here for me. But this is my first video, so I am giving myself leeway to not be perfect, which is an illusion anyway, because I don't ever recall being perfect, nor do I recall anybody else ever being perfect. So here we have just plain cacao butter. Oh my God. That's the smell that you like when you eat chocolate. It doesn't have to be, dark chocolate like. I have it here too, but I'm not going to use this today because it's too stimulating. See, this is cacao paste. And it has similar smell like this with a little more of a nuttier smell, which means it has the cacao beans in it. So now we take can you see this? Yes. So we take the, cacao paste, and we kind of I'm crumbing it sort of, so that it will melt faster. And I guess I should have this is a glass board, I should have a wooden board, but we make do with what we have. And I recommend that if you're a woman, that every time you're in the kitchen, put on a dress that you like. This is what I always do. I put on something that I like, just for me, when you're alone. But if you have if you have a man in your life, then I'm sure he would appreciate it too. If every time you go into the kitchen, you dress up. And I think it's the ideal place to wear heels. Not out on the street, because it's not that good for your back, and you don't need the attention of people that are strangers, and you don't prancing around in your high heels. But in your kitchen, in your home, you can do it just for yourself, because even if you're alone, it makes you just feel more, I don't know, it makes you more aware of your hips when you have heels on. And it makes you more aware of being a woman. And I think that's what doing anything in the kitchen, it really is. It is a cultivation of feminine arts, which I'm sad to say, as I've observed in my travels over the last 5 years, I've stayed in many people's houses, many women's houses too, and I just see how the whole concept of the hearth, is that how you pronounce it? Hearth or hearth? I still don't know. Hearth, hearth, I think is the right pronunciation. But that whole idea has just, I don't know, it's very faint and weak in this modern world. Okay, so now I'm going to put the cacao crumbs into, wow, I think I'm making too much, but oh well. I'm going, right now I am in Binghamton, upstate New York, about 3 hours from New York City, and I will be going into the city, and I will be staying on some other couches, and I would like to bring some gifts or some treats for the amazing, kind people who have basically made it possible for me to live in so many different places, and for me to decide what I want to do when I grow up. And I'm deeply appreciative. Now, I have a special fork that I like to use to make my chocolate. It is a heavy-duty fork. See, it has a little hole in it. It is a fork that used to belong to my beloved father, who is no longer alive. He drilled it himself, and it's just a very unique fork that I like to mush my chocolate in. So it's melting already. I don't know if you can see. Let's try to bring it to the so it's already starting to get that melty chocolate look. I'm putting it back in. And now for the secret ingredients that I will be creating in the moment. Oops. Okay, let's see. So, the key to great flavor is that it always has a subtle echo of all the flavors. So, like if you're making chocolate, you want sweet, salty, and just the tiniest bit of sour, and then you want a little dash of bitter, which chocolate has naturally. Sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and a little spicy, like and fatty, like the flavor of fat, which you have plenty of in chocolate, which is why it's such a favorite food, which is why mayonnaise, people love it so much, because it has salty, sweet, sour, and fatty. Those are like humanity's favorite combinations, because they also imply high caloric value. So it's like a survival instinct. We're drawn to these kinds of foods. unfortunately people eat them as more like they consume them more like entertainment, you know, like I'm trying to think of what's the word, like there is a word, but English is not my first language. That's my excuse. And I will use that excuse as often as I can. So here's salt. I have a mixture of this brilliant salt, which eventually when I have a website, I will direct everyone how to get the salt. This salt has 4 salts in it. One from Bolivia, from Hawaii, from the Himalayas, and one other place. Anyway, so I'm just going to put a little dash of this salt in there, and it will make a real impact. And then, I don't know, I'm thinking, how about some of this? This is coconut butter, which is different than coconut oil. It has all the, it still has some of the meat part of the coconut in it, and it has a subtle sweetness. So I'm going to put some of that in there too. These are all things that harden really well when they're at room temperature, but I'm melting them now. So this coconut butter will add something unique to this. And let me see, what else do I want to do with this? I'm thinking that maybe I will attempt to make maybe I'll do that. I'll do that next time. This time I'll just do chocolate. So you see, it's already melting. I don't know if you can see it. See, it's turning into this beautiful golden yellow fatty liquid. And now for the rest of the ingredients. I should have had this prepared, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. You know, it's about the moment. And how about this and this? Okay. I'm really going to get creative today. But ultimately, you know, there's a very simple way to make this. And in my future videos, see how this goes. If people request it, I can make really just simple, like 3-ingredient chocolate. But today, on my first video, I'm being exotic and luxurious and having fun. So this is Madagascar vanilla, organic, raw, fresh. It smells like heaven. So I'm putting a very generous, see how generous? This huge dollop in there. Because vanilla, I don't know if you know this, but vanilla beans, vanilla stalks, they grow off of cacao trees. So they have kind of like a synergistic relationship, which is why cacao and vanilla taste delicious together. Now I'm putting in one of my favorites, which is maca. Maca is kind of an adaptogenic root from Peru, and it's excellent for male and female libido, in case you need it, which I don't, but you know, it tastes delicious. It has a bitterness to it. So you see, because I'm not putting any cacao paste or cacao beans, I'm injecting it with using different things to give it the bitterness of chocolate. without using the chocolate itself. So that's what the maca is for. It has like a bitter taste, and it's great for your blood pressure. If it's low, it will regulate it to go up. If it's high, it'll bring it down. And like I said, it's really good for sexual vitality. Okay. This ingredient is also from Peru. It is called lucuma. It is a fruit, and this is the part of the flavor that's slightly, it's so subtly fruity that you'll never know that it's in there, but it creates kind of a butterscotchy, like the roundness of deep, rich red wine, mixed in the chocolate. So, as you can see, I'm not measuring, and it's also sweet. So it has a very subtle, soft sweetness. I'm not going to use any honey or any agave. Don't use agave in this kitchen. I don't use any of those popular sugar substitutes, which are basically just like sugar. Raw honey is the only sugar or sweetener that I would ever use. But I don't like to oversweeten, so that we're feeding all these bacteria. We don't want to get the bacteria that live on sugar overly excited. We want all the bacteria to be nourished in our intestines. Nothing out of balance, so never make anything too sweet or too salty. Oh, now it's looking good. Look at that. Look at that. See, it kind of looks like caramel. Okay, so now lecithin, non-GMO organic lecithin. It is an emulsifier. So that's what everybody puts in there. I put tons of it in there. This is non-GMO. It is a soy-based lecithin, but it's mostly the fat part of the soy. And it creates, it also helps to break down fats. So it's really good for helping to process the fat of the chocolate. And then mix it, and it's always a taste test. I mean, I could give you specific amounts, and if you want them, I will give them to you. But the fun and the creativity in the kitchen is when you just kind of go with your flow. Okay, now this is my secret, very special ingredient. It is Mt.Capra goat whey. Amazing stuff, loaded with minerals, as is the lucuma, as is the maca. I mean, all of the things that I'm putting in here are basically extremely high in mineral content. In mineral content. Now I'm putting some of this goat whey in there, and that just gives it like a kind of a crispy. It gives it a kind of a burnt, crispy, again, like a butterscotchy kind of praline type taste, plus tons of minerals. And, okay, let's see. I was thinking of maybe putting some raw butter in today. That I've definitely never done before, but I'm thinking I'll save that for another. I was going to make some nut balls with almond butter and butter. I think I'll save that. Yeah. Okay. So now the only way to taste things, if you're making things for yourself or for people who you've exchanged bodily fluids with, who you're okay with, best way taste things is to dip your finger in. Interesting. Very interesting. Very, gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just, how would I describe this? Yeah, because the coconut is so subtle. But then the other thing I think I'm going to put just as a dash is a little bit of organic cinnamon, but not enough that we could actually taste it, but just to make it intriguing and give it kind of a more, because it goes really nicely with the vanilla. But I didn't put in enough that you could actually taste cinnamon, but you would just taste a little richness. And cinnamon too, rich in minerals. Anything that is rich in color, you know, has got minerals in it. I like the way this looks. I like this color. It's a very beautiful kind of a. It basically looks like the color of clay. Okay. Ooh, it's doing something. Definitely doing something now. Oh yes. Oh my God. Okay. Very happy with it. You know. I don't think it needs anything else. Now, what I was going to do is maybe chop up some longan fruit. Have you ever heard of longan fruit? It's a Chinese fruit. It has other names. I forget how it translates to, but you can grow it. They grow it in America too, in Florida and places like that. I forget what they call it. It's not a gooseberry, but it's a very, very mineral-rich fruit. It almost tastes salty. It's sweet and salty, and I know it's good for many, many organs. So it looks like this. See, it looks like squirrel poop, but actually, it is a rich. And actually, you know what? It makes a sound like maybe more like deer poop, because there's a lot of deer outside here. I've been watching them, and I've been watching them poop, and this looks very much like their. Okay, so that and some kind of, see, I don't want to just do straight chocolate. I want to add as much other stuff to it so that you can stretch your dollar, because the most expensive part is the cacao butter and all the powders that I put in there. Those can be pricey. Let's see. So I have... I think I'm going to be exotic. I'm going to put some, because I like exotic. Because there's not enough exotic in the world, you know? We should all be exotic in our own way, so that every time people are in our company, it's like they're visiting some other universe, some exotic country somewhere. And we all will be from our own country. So these are macadamia nuts from California that there's a guy at the Santa Monica Farmers Market who ships them to me all the time, because I used to live there, and maybe I will again. So these macadamia nuts, I have soaked them in Himalayan salt, and then I dehydrated them for 3 days. So they are raw and sprouted, basically, which means that I've removed all the digestive enzyme inhibitors. So they will be much easier to digest, and then they have a higher content of amino acids when they're sprouted, and enzymes, basically. They're just more alive. So let's see, how many of them do I want to put in. I guess that will be okay the way I have it right here. Now, this is gonna be, again, you know, I should cut on a wooden board because otherwise I'm gonna be like, smelling it first to make sure it's good, looks clean. Okay, excellent. Because if I cut on that glass board, it will be so noisy. And my production value will really suffer. You know, gotta think of that. Okay, so now I'm just going to chop those. And they are so delicious just by themselves. And because I soaked them in the salt, they have like a salty residue on them. And that really plays well with the chocolate. Now I have put no sweetener in that chocolate, and there is absolutely no need. I've had normal people, they've never tasted this chocolate because I've never made it before, but every time I make chocolate, I don't put any sweetener, and it's been taste tested by normal people who eat normal chocolate and food, and they always start oohing and eyeing and want more because they can't believe it has no sweetener in it. It has that lucuma fruit, and then these longans will also sweeten it naturally, but it's subtle so that you really have a potpourri of flavors. Not one of them is taking over, but yeah, it does something in the mouth. I don't know, I can't explain. It's one of those kitchen arts things. But this is just if you have kids, you know, and you make this and they see you making it. I mean, you can even get them engaged in creating their own chocolates. Really, chocolate or any kind of treat that you make should really be medicine. Not just in terms of what's in it, but, you know, the flavor of it. I mean, delicious things and exotic tasting, rich things that evoke dark, passionate thoughts. That's the nourishment, you know. It's the I mean, that's, you know, it's sort of like we have art. You know, we look at art, we listen to music. There's many different ways, or we watch films. So I'm an actress. And that's why originally I entered the business, is because I thought, wow, we can bring beauty into the world. But any art will do that. Well, it's the same thing with food. You know, when you bite into it, it should evoke some kind of feeling of heaven and luxury and earthiness and satiation and satisfaction. Man, these are hard to chop. But this is why it's important to also do one's exercises in the morning and stretch so that you don't tear anything, so that you're working from your core, as you're cutting from your core. Which reminds me, I wasn't, so here we go. Now I'm cutting from my core. Okay, cutting from my core. Okay. See, I'm in a, I don't know if you can see, but I'm in a horse stance. I'm in the kitchen, cutting from my core. And as I'm doing this, even though I'm talking to you, in the back of my mind, I'm just sending love to this to this beautiful, oh my God, it just smells like, you can smell the sweetness and the saltiness and the mineral richness of this. It's like I'm just infusing it with, well, I'm not infusing it. It's already infused, but I'm tuning in to the love that created these amazing things that grow, you know, on our trees. I'm just tuning into the amazingness of that. And now I'm taking them and I'm putting them into, just putting it into the bowl. You know, I don't know what the time limit on these things is. I don't know if I have to stop at a certain point. Oh my God, I've been going on for 31 minutes. Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess that's the other thing, though. Taking one's time. I mean, doesn't it feel good when somebody tells you, take your time? You know, when you're doing something pleasurable. Like you're about to have an orgasm. Isn't it nice? I mean, you men, this is for women, but when a man is actually just saying, take your time, I got all day. I mean, that's the way to live, you know? So yes, we have our busy lives and all that, but we can kind of suspend that for a moment and just be in the kitchen and pretend that we have eternity. And because we're creating something that's going to nourish those we love. And that may just be you, yourself. That's okay too. You can nourish yourself. Oh, I have a stray hair. Okay. So now I've mixed it all in, and I have my special spoon. By the way, this fork here, the one that was my father's, is from Czechoslovakia, the former Czechoslovakia, and this spoon goes with that. And it is also from Czechoslovakia, one of the few items that when we escaped actually made it out of the country with us. And I don't know, something about, you know, the ancestors and the land where you're from and food and nourishment and cooking. I love, you know, just always working in the kitchen with these which belong to grandmothers and, you know, I mean, it's a different world, but the feeling of home and hearth, the hearth arts. Try to say that 100 times. So now I take this beloved spoon and I spoon it in here. Now, if I was a professional, like on those chef shows, you know, I would immediately pull one already made out of the refrigerator. But since this is my first video, that's not gonna happen. But maybe on my next one I'll think of that, and I'll be real professional as I lick my fingers. Very professional. So you see, I just put it on there, and I'm going to put it in the freezer for about 10 minutes, and it will harden. So, oh gosh, I don't want to stop. I don't want to leave you. This is so much fun. Perhaps on the next video, I will show you what this is looking like. Oh wait, I do have some made. Hold on. So I'm putting this one into the freezer. And I will show you what I had made before. Some of this has been already eaten, but you see I had made one similar to this a couple of days ago, and This one, oh my gosh, I have to show you this experiment. This is crazy. I made, wait, hold on. Hold on, just a second. Let me show you something. So I made like my version of a Reese's peanut butter cup, but I made it with almond butter. It looks like, see, it's a very skinny Reese's, but I don't know if you can see it. This has inside it, see, inside it has almond butter. Oh my God. I must put it away. Oh, wow. But this has a little bit, not a lot. I just added a tiny bit of cacao paste. So, in my future videos, or as per request, I will show you how to make this too. So, oh, so good. Okay, this is Dagmar Stansova signing off. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, I love questions. Ask me questions about food, about diet, anything. I will be happy to answer. Okay, bye.